Good evening, one and all.
Hello.
Call the meeting to order. Tracy, take a roll, please.
Harrington,
Here.
Hoffman,
Here.
Pollock, Smith,
Here.
Wason,
Here.
Okay. The agenda's before you. There are no additions or deletions, so a motion to approve, if you would, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda. Any claims or items on there you would like to talk about before we move on them? If not, a motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Kevin, you're next up.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I've got a real short report tonight, just two projects. Dubuque Street Phase 1, we had a final staff review meeting last week, and the plans have been completed. Excuse me. We're currently working on a project video to show what the project's going to look like once it's completed. That should be completed next month. Staff will continue with the acquisition process for the easements and the full acquisitions and coordination with the property owners. And then we'll also continue to work with the private utility companies for relocations and coordination later this year. In this project, we're planning for to bid the project in winter of 2021 for construction to begin first thing in 2022. And then the second project is the Rancho House. Not a whole lot to report on. They haven't been able to do a whole lot of work just on the interior. They did complete the floors, almost. They have one finished they have to redo, but it's looking pretty good. We suspended our construction progress meetings through the holidays. We are going to resume those again. We'll be having another meeting either this Thursday or starting next Thursday. And they'll give us an update on their plans for the next couple of months until the weather warms up and they can resume the exterior work. And that's all I have, unless you guys have questions for me.
Questions for Kevin? Okay, thanks, Kevin. Mr. Heyer.
Good evening all. Happy New Year. A couple things on my end. Just a reminder, a week from tonight, we'll have our budget work session with our department heads. We're starting that at 5:30. So if you haven't already, you'll receive a meeting link from the communications department, and we'll have our first begin our work on the 2022 budget. From a COVID staff planning standpoint, we are tentatively planning to, or we are currently in our split teams. Our management team's meeting tomorrow to talk a little bit more about that and what our next steps will be. We'll also have some programming, mainly in the rec department, some programming items to discuss as well. So after that meeting, I'll get everyone out an update. Just timing on that was a little bit off with us meeting tonight and that meeting happening tomorrow morning. So more to come on that. At our previous meeting in December, the council authorized staff to move forward with bringing forward a civic campus design proposal from Shive Hattery. We are working on that. Should have that in front of you on the 26th of January. Related to that, though, we had the CR Gazette working on a piece about our existing city hall and a potential future city hall. So you might see something in the paper here shortly, unless they've ran it already. And if they did, I missed it, but I don't think they did. You'll see that coming up. And then lastly, I just wanted to point out in the library report, the $3,000 American Library Association grant that our that our library team was successful in obtaining. And they're going to be working on a program called Lighthouse in the Library. And they'll be hosting, this particular grant will fund 4 town hall style meetings where we'll be able to have open conversations with our patrons, our residents, and folks really in the surrounding area who want to join about different topics like diversity, education, and wellness. I'm particularly excited about this program, and our hope is that we'll garner enough interest that even when the grant funding runs out, we'll continue to have these types of input sessions from our residents. And I liken it to the kind of what we did this summer in terms of the equity discussions. This will have other topics involved, but another nice way of reaching out and understanding what our community is looking for, where their concerns are, and just another engagement tool. And that's what I have tonight, unless there are questions.
Questions for Ryan? Thank you, Mr. Heyer. The next item we have is my report. We have a proclamation this evening. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Whereas the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who was born on January 15th, 1929, devoted his life to the advancement of civil rights and public service. He believed in a nation of freedom and justice for all, and challenged people to help build a more perfect union and live up to the purpose and potential of America. And whereas we as Americans, as a whole nation, a nation undivided, have made great strides and experienced unfortunate setbacks with this vision. Yet, Dr. King's work and our journey will only be complete when our children are free to pursue their full measure of success, unhindered by the color of their skin, their gender, the faith in their heart, or the fortune of their birth. And whereas the strength of his leadership was matched only by the power of his words, and whereas Dr. King's words urged us to not despair, nor become bitter, nor lose faith in each other, even as he delivered the eulogy for children who perished in the tragic September 15, 1963 bombing of their Sunday school class. And whereas Dr. King's words urged us to dream, declaring that his own dream affirmed every individual's rights as God-given, excluding no one from its promise and protection. And whereas Dr. King's words urged us to appreciate and spread wisdom as he thought, did through a brilliant assemblage of quotes, grasping the prudence of great thinkers who came before him, a company to which he belongs. And whereas legislation created a federal holiday to honor Dr. King, which was observed for the first time on January 20th, 1986. Subsequently, the 1994 King Holiday and Service Act transformed Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day into a national day of service, encouraging citizens to volunteer to collectively improve their communities. Now, therefore, be it resolved that I, Terry Donahue, as well as the City Council of North Liberty, do hereby proclaim and recognize Monday, January 18th, 2021, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day. Anyone wish to express any sentiments in regards to this? Go ahead, Keisha.
If I may, I just want to point out that there are a number of opportunities for people to be involved around the community. There's actually a flyer that's available and a more comprehensive list of programming on at mlk.uiowa.edu. And it has a comprehensive list of things that's happening throughout Johnson County, so that people can get involved. And there's also an opportunity for people to drop off donations and do safety kits and drop it off at the library. So all that information, detailed information, is also available on that website as well.
Very good, thank you. Any other comments?
Just one, Mayor.
Yes?
This is a post-it I have in my office. Just want to share this quote from Dr. King. Life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? It's just a good reminder, you know, in the spirit of the proclamation, and Rakesh, everything you said. So I think just continuing to, what are we doing for others? Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you. Anything else? Very good. Speedy Mike site plan. Mr. Rusnick.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Okay, so this property is located at 930 Liberty Way. We've got about 1.5 acres of property. Will be developed with a 5,000 square foot, little above tunnel car wash. The comprehensive plan in this area calls for property to be commercial. The current zoning is C2A. C2A permits motor vehicle washes as is listed in the code, and the zoning is consistent with the long range plan. Here's how the site lays out. Building's pushed up close to Penn Street, has one singular access on Liberty Way. It loops around to the east here, and then they enter the car wash. Screen to catch up here, hopefully. Here's our landscape plan. Very nice landscape plan. Overall, the applicants were really nice to work for. They really allowed us to provide some input into the site plan. So what you see today is a lot different from the initial submittal. We appreciate them working with us. We feel that Penn Street's a very important corridor in our commercial development. And so we asked for enhancements to the building and the landscape plan, and they provided that. Here's some architectural views of the building. This first two are facing Penn Street. It's kind of a rectangular box. So some of the things we talked about adding is a little bit of architectural relief on the front. You see that there, a lot of glass. On the other side, you see the two-tone masonry as well as the wooden panels there. A architectural tower on the rear side. The one concern that we did have, but I think it's not a non-issue, is it's a little bit of a blank wall on the south wall. But the reason for that is because there's an equipment room along the back. So you really have all the equipment for the car wash back there. And I just kind of scroll back through the landscape plan, and the landscape plan is very robust. They even have landscaping along the building. So we feel that that's going to soften that. Also has a dedicated pedestrian entrance to the building from the sidewalk, which is always appreciated. So the Planning Commission did consider this and did recommend approval unanimously. I'm going to stop sharing my screen here. As I understand it, the developers are local. Mike Flynn is actually a resident of North Liberty. So with that, staff recommends approval as well. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Applicant's proposal or presentation, Mr. Flynn or Mr. Galatano.
Yes, thank you, Mayor and City Council, and also Ryan for all his help. Dennis Galatano, part of the partnership with CMKD Investors, as well as Mike Flynn, who lives locally, as Ryan mentioned, and also Nick Bettis, who is with Axiom Consultants, who we've worked with extensively to not only initially develop the plan for the site, but also working with Ryan to improve the site development plan. As Ryan mentioned, we have a lot of good architectural features here. We also tried to blend in with our neighbor, Tin Roost. And we also, this development will include really state-of-the-art sort of equipment and technology. We're talking about putting solar panels to generate our own electricity on the building as well, on the roof, on the top. We have state-of-the-art reclamation processes to capture the water in the car wash and to reuse that water. So we're being very ecologically conscious about it. I think that's all I have to do, say from an introduction standpoint. Mike, do you want to talk a little bit about some more of the features, or entertain any questions that the City Council may or may have of us as developers?
Yeah, I'll just add real quick. I think you did a good job of listing a lot of our features. I will say we spent a lot of time trying to make this the most visually appealing, eco-friendly car wash. We know that that's how the community would want it, and we want to definitely give back to the community and make sure we fit in with everybody around us. So yeah, we're trying our best to make it really stand out and be one of the most high-tech, eco-friendly, and visually appealing in the area. And yeah, it'll be locally built. We're doing everything we can to get all local services and trades to do the work, and that'll be locally operated as well.
Mr. Bettis, you have any comments?
I don't. I just wanted to let everyone know that I'm available for any questions on the plan.
Questions from council?
Mayor, I have a couple if I could.
Please.
So being close to Tin Roost, gentlemen, what's being done for noise reduction is my first question. And then second, how much exterior to the building types of polishing, vacuuming work will be done on the vehicles? Is that all interior of the building, and once they exit, they're done? Or is there going to be exterior work being done?
Yeah, I can answer that. So the dryers are at the end of the tunnel, which is on the far west side of the building, as far away from Tin Roost as we could, and as far away from the apartments just south of it. It will be also enclosed inside the tunnel. And the decibel levels on those, I believe, are at 75 decibels at 100 feet, which right now nothing is really within 100 feet of it. And 75 decibels is around standard vacuum cleaner. Office conversation is 60 to 70 decibels as well. So there shouldn't be anything. I mean, we studied a lot of the noise and try to make it and fit it on the site as best we could. There will be 14 self-serve vacuums out in the parking lot. And those are a little bit less decibel rating than the dryer. And that is it's all free vacuums. And yeah, after you can do before or after the car wash. That's at the leisure of the customers.
Let me also interject, Councilman. Operating hours are going to be roughly 7 or 8 in the morning to about 7 o'clock at night. So we're going to really stick to business hours. It's not going to be a 24-hour operation. It also is going to be attended. So we're going to have managers, assistant managers, and attendants on on the premises at all times.
Yeah, well, I just want to add one more quick thing. We really want it to be like a local feel. I mean, we are local, so we want it to be your hometown car wash and very friendly. So,
Other question?
Those are great questions there, and I'm really happy to hear about the hours of operation and not having it go longer than 7 o'clock. So thanks for thinking about that, you guys. And I'll be the first to say I'm really excited about solar panels on the top of that building. I thought I'd get that plug in there for that. The only question I have is about the site plan itself. I know that you guys did extensive work to make sure that what faces Penn Street looks good, and I think it looks outstanding. Is there anything that you can do on that south part of the building that faces the parking lot? Going out there, I know that there's landscaping going on in there. Mike, not trying to blow your budget. Nick, I know that you guys can be pretty creative. Just a faux window or a couple of things that could attach to that side of the building, much like we did with O'Reilly Auto Parts on that south facing, because it doesn't face anywhere. But this one does, and it'll eventually face some businesses and some things across the street from there.
yeah, and that's I think the rendering doesn't do it justice. If you look at the landscaping plan too, we plan on having a bunch of landscaping that will cover most of that wall. We have tossed around the idea of putting some transom windows towards the top of that equipment room, because most of that, 90% of that wall will have equipment on it. So yeah, we can think about that.
But we
Awesome.
we can also consider some faux windows. And we'll talk to Nick and the engineers about putting some faux windows on there. Because that's just putting something on the building itself, right, on the outside. So
correct, yeah, and I think a faux transom is really all that I would go for. Mike, I think putting windows up there, probably wouldn't help your budget. Makes the building a little bit less efficient in some ways with having windows there. So yeah, Dennis, with just some faux transom,
Yeah.
that would cover it from my point.
Good. Consider it done.
Yes,
Mayor?
Ann?
So I really appreciate this dialogue. It seems like this group, you're really invested in the community, and that's really important to obviously North Liberty as a whole. One thing, can you talk a little bit more, and you started to, but what's different about Speedy Mike's Car Wash versus the competitors close to that area?
Yes, what stands out in this area, I mean, this is the only tunnel car wash in North Liberty. I think there is one starting to be built in Coralville, but there's none there right now either. So it's 135 foot of tunnel equipment inside, 10 different wash zones, a chamois dry feature at the end after the actual blow dryers, which I haven't seen in any car wash I've been to. And then yeah, free vacuum service, which most places around here are quarter, or quarter machine. Yeah, we're gonna have people on site. It's gonna be locally owned and operated, and a good feel to it. And there's always gonna be someone there. There's an office inside for customers. We're gonna have small little supplies and.
Well, so let me jump in if I can, Commissioner. So Councilwoman, it's going to have a state-of-the-art kiosk touch system. So when you go into the aisle, it's going to actually recognize who you are ahead of time. And if you're an unlimited member car wash, monthly car wash person, it's going to know who you are. You're going to be able to zip right through. It's going to read your RFID or your license plate. And so you'll be getting specials on your iPhone or, Samsung. I mean, it's really going to be super, super state of the art and touchless too. So nobody actually get out of their car if they don't want to. They don't have to actually put in any money. Everything's going to be done digitally and with credit cards. There's not going to be any cash on the, well, I shouldn't say no cash, but there's going to be very, very little cash. Everything's going to be digital and state of the art kiosk driven system.
And you can actually, there's a phone app that will be attached with it, and you can actually purchase a wash on the app, pull up to the kiosk and scan that QR code so it can be physically a contactless experience if you choose to.
Yeah.
Great. Well, I
Go ahead.
and it's exciting to have a group so entrenched in our community and just excited about this. So wish you the best, and I'm sure we'll all be there. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments, questions?
I also want to say that I'm excited to have this too, and the fact that you all will have tenants here further just signifies you hiring too, possibly within our community as well. So I hope to see some young people there, first time jobs as well. But I'm excited, and it sounds like you really thought this out as well.
We're going to have on the employment side, we're going to have anywhere from 5 to 7 employees, 3 or 4 of which will be full-time. And we are going to, as an employer, we feel strongly that we want to provide proper benefits, healthcare benefits and retirement benefits. So we will be staffing this with folks who want to be part of the community, from the community, and want to be part of the community.
Anything else?
It's a really a good looking building. We appreciate you putting all that effort into what some people just consider a car wash. And I really appreciate the water reclamation part of it, because, conserving water in the greater, later on down the road is going to be pretty important, I think. So.
Okay, anything else? Next, we have resolution number 2021-01. Well, this will be a clean resolution anyway. A resolution approving the development site plan for 930 Liberty Way, Speedy Mike's Car Wash, North Liberty, Iowa. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Thank you and welcome to the community.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Sign off.
Yeah.
Next item is purchasing policy. Tracy, you want to give a shot on this one again?
Sure. The state hazard mitigation group did a review of our purchasing policy. They're working to be very proactive with communities that are getting FEMA money. So Christine added recommendations to the policy, has reviewed it, and has now said our entire purchasing policy she's going to be using as a template in other communities that don't have policies. So that's a good thing. This should be the last time that I ask for approval on it.
Okay. So you have before you resolution number 2021-02. A resolution approving the purchasing policy amendment for the city of North Liberty, Iowa. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Harrington.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Siren grant. Ryan, want to take this one for me?
Sure can. Tracy's smiling because she wrote the grant. So thank you to her for doing that. This is to enhance a siren that currently is located just off of Scales Bend in the Fox Run neighborhood. If you were able to take a look at the map in the packet, you'll see that the circle that shows the coverage area of that for that siren is missing a few sections, including the far east of Cedar Springs. And so this has been on Michael's radar, and he's wanting to upgrade this siren. We've requested, as you can see, $46,000 from FEMA, which would then make us responsible for about $7,000. So we're hopeful, but we need your approval tonight, or your commitment to that $7,000 if we should receive the grant.
Questions for Ryan?
Not a question about the grant. Tracy, thanks for writing this. Ryan, how are these maps determined? How are these siren locations determined? Is that something from the fire department's end of things, or emergency management? I'm curious because of the one right on the edge of town there at Forever Green. It obviously helps Coralville a little bit as well.
Yeah, and a lot of those most of those have been around for a long, long time, and it's been in our situation, in our case, it's been the street superintendent who's been responsible and then worked with local jurisdictions and agencies to locate these things. And so, for example, when we purchased one here not too long ago, Michael worked with the siren company, gave them what we had for a map, and then they were able to put what that new siren would do and what areas it would impact. And so then, we make sure Dave at EMA sees it, and anyone else who, obviously Diane or Brian, and then make decisions from there, or make recommendations from there.
Thank
So
you.
it's not just one person, it's a number of folks looking at it.
Sure. Thank you.
Just a other quick question. Are we looking down at southwest corner? They're starting to get some houses down there, and the circle doesn't seem to be overlapping that very well.
I'm trying to bring up the map right now. Brian, you said the southwest?
Yeah, the very south, past my house, and on the other side of Forever Green, looks like it's starting to kind of fade out there.
That'll be certainly, as that area develops or starts to develop, that's probably going to be it's going to have to be our next area. Sorry, I'm still bringing that up here. But there is nothing right now in our CIP. Here we go. So to answer your question, we don't have any funding in the CIP now, or any sort of grant submitted. However, oh yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Well, and interestingly, this siren just came up for discussion as the university is working on their plans for that corner. So there may be down the road some enhancements to that one. but nothing right now, Brian.
Okay.
Okay, I'm still reading on the map on the western edge, WPS 2910, and it looks near North Bend School.
2910 would be out by the high school.
Well, I'm looking at a 2910 on the
Oh,
west
wait,
side,
they're
too.
all 29. There are a couple of them that are 2910.
Okay, on the west side, just off
Yeah.
Alexander. Not
Yeah.
Alexander. Okay. And there, yeah. Of course, coverage is going to depend on wind conditions too. So when it comes up, so it'll sound a bend. So we'll have to keep that one in mind. And thanks, Brian.
Mayor, if I could, I've been contacted by a couple of residents in the past few months with concerns about coverage out at the dog park. I know we've addressed those individuals, but I would be remiss as their representative if I did not voice that in this conversation. I know that staff's done a good job of explaining that. The decimal coverage that's out there, staff believes is adequate, but just something that I have to bring up that I've been asked to. Thank you.
Enough.
I would just point out, you can see that the dog park is encompassed plus a little bit extra. So we have that included in our coverage area.
Okay, so you have resolution in front of you, 2021-03. A resolution authorizing the local match for the hazard mitigation grant program for an emergency siren. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any final questions or discussion?
Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy, take roll.
Wason,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye. Thank you, Tracy.
Harrington,
Aye, and thank you, Tracy.
Pollock,
Thank you, Mulcahy.
is that an I too?
Sorry, yes, I.
Thank
Okay,
you.
gotcha. Smith,
Aye.
thank you.
There'll be 5 affirmative, none opposed. The resolution is passed. Item 11, we have a number of resolutions to work on that. Is there any one of them that you want to take out and talk about first before we go down the list?
Nope, just appreciate the grant and staff working all those things out. So.
Just real quickly, these are all the parcels, and the dollar amount should look familiar to you. These were all accepted offers of the appraised values that was approved by council at our previous meeting. Recommend approval of all of them. I would normally have these all in one resolution, but they trickled in such a way that I had to do it piecemeal like this. So I apologize and thank you for your patience as slogging through 6 of these at once.
Okay, first up, resolution number 2021-04. A resolution approving the public easement agreement between Silver Oak Development, Inc. and the city of North Liberty, Iowa. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or question? Tracy, please.
Harrington,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Hoffman.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next, resolution number 2021-05, a resolution approving the temporary construction easement agreement between Gary W. Metz and Vicky A. Metz and the city of North Liberty. Anyone wish to establish that resolution, please?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or question? Tracy, please.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next, resolution number 2021-06. A resolution approving the public easement agreement, landscape and temporary construction easements between Fairway Stores, Inc. and the city of North Liberty. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Final discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Smith,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Pollock,
Aye.
Wason.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next, resolution number 2021-07, a resolution approving the temporary construction easement agreement between Lilienthal Properties LLC and the city of North Liberty. Anyone wish to establish that resolution, please?
So moves.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Questions or discussion? Tracy, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Next, resolution number 2021-08, a resolution approving the temporary construction easement agreement between Steve D. and Darcy L. Cooley and the city of North Liberty. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions? Tracy, please.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith,
Aye.
Pollock.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Resolution number 2021-09, a resolution approving the public easement agreement between Fairway 2 Condo Owners Association and the city of North Liberty. Anyone wish to establish that resolution?
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion or questions? Tracy, take roll, please.
Pollock,
Aye.
Harrington,
Aye.
Hoffman,
Aye.
Wason,
Aye.
Smith.
Aye.
Resolution passes 5 affirmative, none opposed. Old business. What do you have? New business? Annie?
Mayor, just a remind, I know we'll have another meeting, but beat the bidder. Just thank the communications team and all involved, volunteering, etc. There's a lot of activities still planned. So that starts January 30th. So please check that out. And hopefully people can get involved to beat the bidder.
Mayor,
Brent?
I want to pass along some thanks to Mr. Rusnick in my travels around lately with a few business owners. Have gotten some really good comments on staff and the way that his division is working with business owners. So thank you, Ryan, passing that along. Appreciate that.
Well deserved. Anything else? If not, we stand adjourned. Thank you.